Hello everyone, my name is the Little Duckling and welcome back to World of Tank Reviews. This time, the SU-122-54, one of the most difficult tanks to play at tier 9. You know, with exception of the T-95, the Tortoise is kind of difficult to play for some people. People don't really like it. The medium tanks are pretty okay, all of them are fairly decent. So yeah, I'd say the SU-122-54 is one of the more difficult tanks to play at tier 9. Ah yes, the Winter Wonderland. That's the wrong tank. Ah, there we go. The SU-122-54 tier 9 Soviet tank destroyer. That is very, very badly played. Like, I mean terribly bad. This tank has the lowest win rate, 45%, of every single tier 9 tank destroyer. And there's quite a lot of them, but this one is the worst. And I'm wondering why, because... oh, first of all, it's not a popular tank. This whole tank line, this one, is not popular at all. The reason is, there's no real reason to play this line. The tier 7 is terrible, according to a lot of people. I thought it was great. The tier 8 is terrible, and I concur. The tier 9 is terrible, which I don't agree with, and the tier 10 is absolutely amazing. But why? Why is that? I checked YouTube, and there's a lot of just random replays on there, on this tank. But the bigger YouTubers seem to ignore this tank as well. Jingles made a tank preview 4 years ago on this tank when it came out in patch 8.0. It still had a 130mm 490 alpha gun, basically the IS-7 gun. And that surprised me, because that is how long ago Jingles made a video, and fair enough, he doesn't have this tank and he cannot update that video. But Quickie Baby never made a tank review of this. He made one video which was a heartbreak 2 years ago. Sir Fosh made a tank review on this tank 2 years ago, and that tank review is still valid. If you want to see another tank review from another person's perspective, Sir Fosh is the way to go, because his tank review is still very, very valid. Because this tank hasn't changed in years. The only thing that has changed since release is they removed the 130mm, gave it a 122mm 440 alpha gun, and they made the tank high definition. That's the only change they made in recent years. The SU-122-54 has an option for 3 guns. You have the standard 122mm D9 with 390 alpha 175 pen. The thing is, you will never use this gun. You will simply not use the gun. You know why? Because if you are going past the SU-100, and you will have gone past it, you will have this gun, the A100D54S. The interesting thing about this gun is, it is actually really, really good. It is exceptionally good on the SU-101. As you can see, you will have unlocked the 100D54S to go to the SU-122-54. You have the option of unlocking this 122mm, which will be used on the tier 9 version. The thing is, it is 64,000 experience. I'm not sure if you want to unlock a gun that has, just look at the red numbers, lower rate of fire, lower DPM, lower accuracy, lower aim time, it weighs more than this gun on the SU-101. To be honest, you can play the tier 9 with this gun. It is exceptionally good with this gun. The thing is, you have a high rate of fire. Your DPM is 3.5k with the 100mm. You can actually work yourself out of terrible situations, like this one. I was being surrounded, I was being face hugged, and yet I still survived that situation, just because the rate of fire on this tank with this gun is amazing. That and the fact that they were all lower tier, but that shouldn't stop you from getting this gun, the 122mm. The main reason is, this is what makes the tank. This gun, 440 alpha, 260 penetration, pretty good accuracy, aim time is decent. This gun is what makes this tank. The SU-122-54. But the thing is, even if you unlock this particular gun on the SU-101, you cannot use it until you unlocked the tracks. And the tracks are 23,000 experience. So you need 23,000 experience before you can even mount the 122mm on this tank. I think this looks a lot like an IS-4 gun. Hold on, let's have a look. Is this an IS-4 gun? No, it isn't an IS-4 gun, but it looks a lot like it. It is slightly more accurate. It is slightly better aim time. Same pen, same damage. Basically, it is just your box standard 440 Alpha 122mm gun. What about the engine? Well, it gets a decent engine when you unlock it. The thing is, if you have the T-54 unlocked and bought it and fully upgraded that tank, you can mount the engine immediately on the SU-122-54. This tank is basically a T-54. It's a reason they call it the SU-122-54. It's because it is built on a T-54 chassis. They took the chassis, slapped a big superstructure on top of it, mounted a big punchy Russian gun in it, and then you have the SU-122-54. They didn't think armor, they thought mobility. And stealthiness, of course. I mean, this is not a big tank. This is very low to the ground, very flat tank. But this tank can be played in two ways. Can't be tank destroyer, as you would expect because it is still a tank destroyer, or assault gun. Now, fair enough, you don't have armor. It doesn't have any armor, Captain. And when I mean it doesn't have any armor, it doesn't have any armor wherever you aim. It is kaput dead against anything. Just even tier 7 guns. For example, the IS. You will see IS tanks in this tank. An IS has 175mm of penetration. If you face it front on, he will just pen you. He will not care. He will pen you if he hits you right in the front. Now the thing is, this tank you'd say, oh, the gun mantlet is pretty good. 400 effective, 631, 300. No, you will get penned right in the gun mantlet. For some reason, the gun mantlet, it just doesn't seem to actually be working. But at other times, it is the most amazing thing you will ever have in your life. Don't show your side, don't show your back, don't show your roof, don't show your belly. Show your front, angle it, because people will still shoot you in the front. Now don't get me wrong, you won't bounce a lot. But this can be so extremely troll that you'll just be wondering, why does this tank suddenly have armor this game, and in like 70 games it doesn't? I don't know how that works, just don't expect to bounce anything. Until you suddenly bounce everything, and don't expect ever to bounce anything else ever again. Now it has 4 degrees of gun depression. If you fully use it, you know, no, you won't be bouncing a lot. Anything, if anything. Just, you are a tank destroyer with no armor. So don't expect anything to bounce. Alright, capiche? Good. Alright, so what about the statistics of this tank? Now that's always interesting during tank reviews, because I don't really understand why I would, talk about this for you when you can look this up yourself. But I guess that's part of the whole tank review kind of thing. Let's say we mount the big gun, the 122-440 Alpha gun. We want to go full on assault gun mode. Fence, rammer, and your choice of coated optics to get that extra bit of view range. Maybe you want enhanced gun length drive, so you have that bit less aim time. No, I don't know. Maybe binocs to just still have that potential of being a campy tank destroyer. So with rammer, fence, and binocs, we go to 7.5 second reload time. A bit less than that. 3.5k DPM. That is the reason this tank is a assault gun. That DPM. You can completely surprise your enemies with it, because they will not expect you to come around the corner, slam in 440 Alpha, pull back. They think, oh, you just got a big reload. Look at that Alpha that just shot me. They will come around the corner. You are already reloaded, ready to shoot them again in the track, perma-tracking them in position. And your enemy would be sitting there wondering what the hell just happened. 2.3 seconds aim time. That's because of the vents. That's really good. That aim time, that's really, really good. Compared with the 3.3 accuracy, this tank can do just almost everything if you know how to play it. And that's the problem with this tank. It is incredibly difficult to play, because you have to know when you are a campy tank destroyer and when you are an assault gun. In the beginning, never go assault gun. The beginning is when you are a campy tank destroyer, you see how the match plays, and then you decide if you're going to help a flank or not. Well, you have the dispersion, 0.7, 0.17, 0.12 after turret reverse, which is the gun reverse basically. Decent. That is actually really good for a tank destroyer with 440 Alpha. 48 km/h top speed. Now that is something I really enjoy, because not only can I be in the battle fast if I'm a assault tank? I just have the ability to run away as well. The terrain resistance is really good on hard, really good on medium, really bad on soft. I'm not gonna lie, on soft terrain this tank is poop. Gun elevation is decent, gun depression is good for a Soviet tank destroyer at least. On this line, I mean the SU-101 got 2, the rest got 4. The 263 after this also has 4. So this tank basically prepares you for a better version in every single way. More alpha, more DPM, slightly less gun traverse range, so this is a bit less, but still really good. 1530 HP, that is, if anything, decent. You can take shots, you can trade with your opponents because you have the better reload than anything else at tier 9, let alone at tier 7 or tier 8. At tier 10 this tank is decent. It is actually balanced at tier 9 and tier 10 because it has good penetration, good alpha, very good DPM, but it doesn't have armor, and it is a tank destroyer. You don't expect to have armor. Now fair enough, maybe you want to play this tank more like a campy tank destroyer. Swap out the vents for a camo net. Your camo rating will go up significantly. Yeah, you will lose a bit of DPM, but it's not that much. You will still have 7.6 second reload, and that is still really good. Your dispersion is slightly a tiny bit worse. Aim time is just that slight tiny bit worse, but you are sitting still in one position. You're aiming straight towards you. You're not going to be driving. You don't need that extra bit of aim time. That dispersion on distance, if this gun has a hissy fit, it will have a terrible hissy fit, as shown here. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that great? I had a terrible time playing that game. And this gun, this 122mm gun, will have a hissy fit. It can work wonders, and at the same time, it cannot even shoot a fish in a barrel. It is that bad. You know what? I'm gonna talk about the crew while we are in game, because otherwise I'll just have too much talking about random stuff and things and not actual gameplay. And the gameplay is eventually that just is what you come for, a tank review, because, you know, water tanks is a... I don't know what I'm talking about, let's just talk about crews, yeah? Now before I actually start talking about the crews, this game was played with the 320 Alpha 100mm gun. So now you know how that also plays in a game. Actually, this was still played while I was stock. Well, not stock, I had the engine, I had the radio, I did not have the tracks nor the gun. So, yeah, it sort of gives an indication of how to play this tank half stock. And this SU-122-54, we were constantly sort of fighting to be in the same position, and it was really, really annoying me. Anyway, the crew. It depends on how you want to play this tank. Personally, I had a full repair crew because I want to play Assault City, and this is a fairly light tank compared to other tank destroyers, so if you get tracked, they will put the track back on in about 4 seconds. That's really, really useful, because that means you can use your repair kit for something else, like your ammo rack. And your ammo rack is something you will lose a lot. So the first skill, repairs. Definitely repairs. Second skill, depends. If you want to go for a possible tank destroyer semi-hybrid, I would go for snapshot, smooth ride, and the rest camo. Third skill, basically train whatever you like and then swap it out for Brothers in Arms. I currently have a 4-skill crew and it is a mess. I'm looking at my crew skills right now and it's a mess. The first skill is Brothers in Arms. Then it is a combination of 6 hands, repairs, snapshot, clutch braking, safe stowage. Then the third row is camo and repairs. Whatever crew member doesn't have repairs yet is repairs, the rest is camo. Then the fourth skill is just armorer. Armorer is really important because in the 263 you will get shot in the gun a lot. Situational awareness, which is really important because I can use optics with the 263, and with situational awareness in Brothers in Arms I have 452 meter view range. So that's full view range in a tank destroyer. So basically, first skill after retraining Brothers in Arms, repairs, camo, armorer, safe stowage, clutch braking, situational awareness. It really depends on how you want to play it. Sneaky tank destroyer, go for camo. Assault teddy, go for repairs. That's it. That's basically what you really have to know about this tank. I really hope I put the icons on screen, because otherwise that was a mess what I was talking about. That was not something you can easily follow. Anyway, here I'm going to spam heat, because I want to kill this AT-15, and that AT-15 is half of a raid boss for me, because I cannot reliably pen him with 219 penetration. And also that AMX-30 that I left on 1 health was very lucky. Normally this would be the point where I would talk about something World of Tanks related, but with the Swedish tanks released, January just starting, you know, January is always a low point for everything. It just, everyone kind of loses interest in everything because you just had the holiday season, New Year started, everyone wants to start over with resolutions that will probably end somewhere end of February. But Wargaming is not releasing anything new. They haven't really said what's going to be in the next patch, at least not a lot, not recently at least. They've just been releasing some more premium tanks that already exist, like the Fury and the BTSV and the IS-6 Black Edition. Actually, no, I'm telling a lie. This was not announced anywhere, but Wargaming is apparently getting close to releasing a new sandbox server. You know, the sandbox server where artillery had a stun function, which was great because then artillery would be even more annoying. Yeah, like I said, if the sandbox server doesn't change a lot and it is released with artillery having stun mode and every single tank is slight tiny bit more different from each other, I'll probably stop playing because I'd have to learn the game all over again, and I don't want to do that. Not only is the sandbox really changing artillery, it's changing every single tank. Everything. The game got a lot slower, the top speed of tanks was nerfed, all of them. There were more differences. For example, the Leopard had 350 alpha. This is like the first iteration, everything probably changed by now, but the Leopard had 350 alpha and really accurate, whereas the Centurion had, I think, 390 alpha but low penetration. It just didn't make sense. The reason I have the tanks that I have now is because I wanted them, because they are the way they are. If, for example, the sandbox server happens and then I have 15 or 16 tier 10 tanks at the moment, 9 of them were completely useless in my opinion because I wouldn't enjoy them anymore, then what's the point of all the hours I've put into playing this game to then have it thrown away because the developers decided to completely change the game? Now, here's the thing, right? I used that 704 as cover so the T10 wouldn't shoot me again. That might seem like a bit of a dick move, but that 704 had enough health to take the shot. I know, this is kind of taking advantage of my teammates. But otherwise I would have died. And I'd rather have him lose a bit of health than lose an entire gun in the game. Now this game is probably won by now. Fair enough, like we're 2 versus 4. Actually 2 versus 5. 2 versus 4, there we go. The Batchat is decent health, the T10 is fighting the T30. But, I don't know, personally, this is a game also for myself, not just my teammates. And if I have to hide behind the teammate to stay alive, then so be it. Also, we just lost another one. It's suddenly 3 versus 2. And that's a Batchat, so he can clip one of us really, really hard. And that's gonna hurt if he does. And that Batchat is coming in now, probably to clip me. And this T10, watch this T10. He pokes out, shoots the Batchat. There we go. Instead of the T30, allowing me to stay alive. That T10 was a hero. Even though his stats seem like he's a bad player, he is an actual bro. Now I know what I said during the review itself. This tank doesn't bounce anything. And it doesn't! Except for that one lucky bounce on the T30 earlier in that Himmelsdorf game, and the Batchat at the end. I got a steel ball in SU-122-54. Now that's not something you should really expect to happen. That was really, really lucky. Anyway, we're back for the second game. It's a bit of a weird start here. I was talking to someone, well, typing to someone in TeamSpeak while the game was already started, so I'm gonna cut the bits out where I'm basically waiting that 907. I did not kill steal him. That's when John said, "You have shots on the 907," and I tabbed in. I was like, "Oh, I have a shot on the 907. Look at that." This is also a game where I've got the 122mm gun mounted. And I do love myself some 440 Alpha guns. I love the 113. I love the DT10. The SU-122-54. I don't know why, but with 440 Alpha guns, if I high roll, it is like somewhere in the 480 to 520 damage done. And that feels so good. It's so much fun to see 500 damage done with this short of a reload and knowing you only have 440 Alpha. This is, by the way, a rather short game, and I can still remember this game, playing it, thinking I need to get 4 kills. The reason for that is we had a mission going in the clan using a clan reserve, an urgent order. And that said, I can't remember the reward, I think it was 15,000 free experience or something like that, or 15,000 experience towards your crew. But all you had to do to complete the mission was get 4 kills. Me playing an SU-122-54 was having none of this sniping malarkey. I wanted to get in the faces of the enemy. Tomorrow, I think, either tomorrow or Saturday, I will release another video, basically more footage of the SU-122-54. Because if you have a good game in this tank, it's a really good game. If you have a bad game in this tank, it's a really bad game. And it's 2 really good games. Good games that I want to say for basically the video after this one. Somewhere tomorrow or Saturday. I'm not quite sure yet. Probably Saturday because I like releasing videos on the weekend. We will see. Anyway, more SU-122-54 coming this weekend. And then the news episode on Sunday, because I am not running out of new tanks to play anytime soon. Oh, I found a subject to talk about. New Year's Eve in the Netherlands. The thing about New Year's Eve in the Netherlands, or just the New Year celebrations, is that everyone is allowed to set off their own fireworks. Now, I'm not quite sure how it is in every other country. I'm pretty sure that it's legal in Belgium to set off your own fireworks. I think it's just legal in West Europe to set off your own fireworks, but in, for example, America, there's fireworks shows all over the place. In Britain as well. So that's why I'm always interested in how you celebrate New Year's Eve. So do tell in the comment section, how do you celebrate New Year's Eve? Because here in the Netherlands, you either sit with family and watch a comedy show that's always the end of the year, and then have champagne and then go outside and watch everyone blow off their own set off fireworks in front of their own house, like arrows and giant pots of fireworks. Or you can go out to town and just go to a club and just basically just party your way into the new year. But the thing is, you are allowed to set off fireworks from I think 6 o'clock in the evening. And that's when all the kids go outside to set off their banging fireworks. Not the pretty fireworks in the sky, no, the one that does a big, fat, huge explosion and a shockwave. Now me as a guy, love that. I love the deep explosions that you sometimes would hear in the distance. But there are enough people that hate it. The thing is as well, if you don't have to go outside in those hours from 6 to 12, do not go outside, because it is a war zone. If you think I'm kidding, here's some footage of me on a bicycle going to a friend's house where I was going to play games, get drunk, and do New Year's Eve. The best part is that was the calmest it had been that entire evening. That little tiny bit where I was on my bicycle, that was the calmest. But then there's the celebrations of actually hitting the new year. And that was when my phone at 80% decided, no, wait, I don't have any battery power left. It then died and showed up as 0% when I decided to start it up again. So 10 out of 10 phone. So yeah, everyone is setting off fireworks. Anyway, speaking of fireworks, this game's over. So I'm gonna flip myself. And I did it. I succeeded. At least I thought the game was over, and then as I was flipping over, I saw that there was still an IS-3 left. So I'm thinking, now wait. If they can kill that IS-3 in time, I might actually have a chance of surviving this battle. But will I? I lived.